Okay. The chair recognizes Dawn Zimmer. Dawn, name and address.
Dawn Zimmer, 59 Madison Street.
Go ahead.
In the 4th Ward. First, I want to carry on with the park discussion. If I could ask one question, I have had a chance to go through the plan, and I noticed that the maps that were in the past plan were taken out. So I'd like to ask, have the curb cuts that were on Patterson Avenue in the last plan, have those been taken out?
Excuse me, can I ask you a question, though, before you start? You said you had a chance to go through the plan. How did you get the plan?
Friends of friends.
Friends of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I find that fascinating because the process was supposed to be the council received this, voted on it, and we got it to the public.
But
And what's important to me is that we amongst the council were supposed to have substantive, and we have had substantive discussions about this, but I find it fascinating that you stand here before us with the plan in hand, maybe even before I had it. So the timing of all this it's amazing.
Mr. Campos, I'm trying to advocate for the 4th Ward, so.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Because you're not doing it for us.
Not releasing it.
Dawn, face the council.
Okay, so could I find out whether the curb cuts are still on Patterson Avenue?
Mr. Van Doren?
Van Doren?
Curb cuts.
Are the curb cuts still, because the curb...
Yeah, it was a recommendation to remove.
Right, so if the curb cuts, if I could explain to everyone, if the curb cuts have not been removed from the plan on Patterson Avenue, then there is no way to reroute Patterson Avenue, because once you have driveway access built onto Patterson Avenue, there is no way to reroute that road. So if we're really serious about rerouting Patterson Avenue, which I hope that we are, I hope that we have taken the curb cuts out of Patterson Avenue, and then we would be able to close Harrison and Jackson. I believe that is the plan.
That was one of
I'd also like to make a suggestion. I think that there is concern from the public that, it's going to take a long time to reroute Patterson Plank, and, my understanding from Mr. Beto is that it's a long process. We're going to have to get city approval, county approval, and then go and try and get federal funding for rerouting Patterson Plank, and it may take 10, 15 years. We really don't know if it's going to happen. So I would like to suggest, and I believe this idea comes from Mr. Camerano and Dave Mello's discussion, is there any way that the council would consider closing Harrison and Jackson during the day? Like Central Park does this, they let traffic through when it's really busy, but then during the day, that would in the first phase, that would create a significant park space for our community and really make us feel more comfortable with the plan. So I'd like to know if you would consider doing that.
Hold on, let's stay with that.
Ms. Zimmer, I appreciate that comment. In fact, some of the offline discussions we've also had with the planners is not just doing that, but also as cities such as Newark and other cities have rerouted traffic during the day in one direction. So, for example, in the mornings, rerouting traffic going on Observer Highway going one way, synchronizing the traffic lights, exiting the city, so that, and then again entering the city, because Observer Highway has that unique traffic pattern with the 4 lanes. So all of those things are actually being, like I said, this is a lot of moving parts, but all of those things are actually in place. So I appreciate that suggestion as well.
Well, could you explain again? So is there a possibility of closing those roads during the day?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're talking once again about it's not that you're putting the proverbial carriage in front of the horse, but we're not there yet. Like when you get to those type of details, we're not there at this point. We're just referring this to the planning board to make sure that this is consistent with the master plan, and once we get those things, when we get into the details, the nuances, that's when we add those substantive comments.
Okay, so that will be hopefully added. Okay.
Yeah, it's been one of them.
Okay, that's good news. And then back to the flooding. I am concerned that we're going to be, tonight this is the first stage of passing, my understanding is from the last plan that it was about 1,500 condo units that would be added to Southwest. And I really hope, Mr. Campos, I'm glad that you have pushed to add some language with regard to the infrastructure, but I really, really hope that we can try to do some kind of a cost-benefit analysis and really look at what how this is going to impact the flooding before we make a final passage of this plan. Because once it's passed, we've already got this certain level of density. So if we don't try to figure out what the impact is going to be with regard to the flooding, I mean, if we do the study later and we find out we're in trouble here, we're not going to be able to afford what needs to be done. So I feel like we as a city, we need to act more responsibly and try to figure out an overall, hire an environmental engineering firm to come in and help us figure out what the solution can be to the flooding. I mean, I've heard, Mr. Beto in the last meeting talked about how New Jersey Transit is creating this pumping station or ejection system that will save the day for the Southwest. And I've made some calls. I have a friend who works with New Jersey Transit, and he hasn't heard about that plan, and that hasn't been that public. So my question to all of you is that plan definite, and how will we link in to their system? Are we going to, as part of our overall plan, are we going to think about how we're going to truncate into their system and make sure that the flooding is addressed, and the infrastructure, figuring out. So that's my issue is, like, can we please try to figure out what are the costs? What do we need to do to figure out a solution to this flooding situation? And can the level of density that we're talking about doing, can we handle it, with where we're at? The other issue, I did read through the plan, and I do have some concerns about the green technology. The way I read the plan, it's only if buildings get the bonuses, so they go to 12 stories, that we will actually be asking them to be, it doesn't even really say LEED certified, that they will try to take measures to, practice stormwater management and that kind of thing. And I'd like to ask that we try to build that into the plan, because the green technology, the green roofs, if we have it on every single roof, it can take like 40% of the rainwater. We can have stormwater management where we're recycling rainwater for toilets or landscaping. There's a lot of things that we can do to really help alleviate the flooding situation, but that's only going to happen if the city council requires it to happen as part of this plan. So I hope that you will review this section on the green technology and think about how we can change that to make it stronger. Thank you.
Camerano?
Yeah, just on the inclusion of LEED,